Amazing. Live from a pile of dark chocolate dipped kittens. It's an all new, terrific Tuesday edition of Business Pants. Joined by Analyst-Hole Matt Moscardi. You hear him in the background. There he is, Matt Moscardi. Wow.
Foreground, baby. Foreground.
On today's calorie-free double Big Mac called February 4th, 2025, the Who Do You Blame game.
Oh, this is
we
a new
played
game.
this before. The Who
Have
Do You
we?
Blame game. Our show today is being sponsored by FreeFloatAnalytics.com, the only platform measuring board power, connections, and performance for free.
Wow, for free, like totally free, $0. That's wow. I mean,
This is actually the perfect game to demonstrate the power of that platform app because what it is kind of showing you some of the ways you can use data from the platform to see who to blame at companies when things go wrong or go right. These aren't all negative stories. A couple of these are positive.
I don't really do positive stories. I've got 3 here, and I don't do positive.
So let me explain how this works, Matt. The Who Do You Blame game. I'm looking at headlines over the past few days, and then I'm just looking for 4 potential people or things, entities, whatever, roles, I don't know, at the company to see who do you blame. You get to tell me who do you blame. Right? All right.
It feels like a sad game, but we are in the age of blame, aren't we? We blame someone for everything.
That is true,
I guess we're just in the zeitgeist.
But again, it's just a way to help articulate how to use the data. Okay.
Oh wow, you sound like a salesperson today.
Yeah. Well, I don't know about that. Let's see. Let's start. Let's go. You got some music for me? Oh, that's the music for Who Do You Blame? Yeah, okay. Who Do You Blame
intense game show music, baby.
Well, remember, a couple of these are positive. But let's just start with a generic one. Here's the headline: Wells Fargo CEO Charlie Scharf gets pay bump to $31 million. That's the headline.
Wow. All right, so the way that we play is I just pick someone I would blame for that.
Yeah, and I got 4 choices for you, Matt. You don't pick.
I got choices.
Yeah, you got choices.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, here we go.
Multiple choice. I like this.
Here we go. Is it the CEO himself, Charlie Scharf, for being greedy? His pay ratio is already an alarming 325 to 1 last year, so it's going to go up. So, is he to blame? Okay.
Good question. Yeah, sure.
What about shareholders? Are they to blame? So, in 2021, 43% of shareholders voted against Say on Pay. In 2022, 27% voted against Say on Pay. But then the last couple of years, over 90% have supported because the company has kind of tweaked some of the pay policies. But they tweaked the policies, but the CEO's pay is steadily and magically increasing every year from 21 million to 25 million to 26 million to 31 million. So what are the shareholders so happy about? Do you blame them?
The real question is, if it's 31 this year, it's 26 last year, so it's 2024 or 2023, right? 2022 to 2023, you only got $1 million raise. What did he do wrong? That's the real question.
So the second choice is the shareholders. The third choice, how about pay committee chair Ronald Sargent?
Ooh, wow.
Why on earth, Matt, would you ask the former CEO of Staples to control setting the pay for a fellow large cap CEO? Why would you do that?
I actually know the answer to that because they're the former CEO of Staples.
Right, but do you blame him? Because that's a conflict of interest. There shouldn't be CEOs or former CEOs as the chairs of pay committees. We should vote against all those people.
Oh, I just heard a ding dong. That's the sound of ISS saying, yes, that's who you blame for it.
And finally, do you blame female board power? The gender gap.
No, I don't like this.
The gender gap at Wells Fargo is minus 19%. So, Matt, the 5 women on the board at Wells Fargo control 20% of board influence, while the top 5 men control 68% of board influence. So
you're saying they have too much power, and that's why
the men have too much power.
The men have too much power, and that's why he's getting paid.
So, do you want to recap or do you want to just vote?
I can vote. So it was Charlie Scharf himself. It was shareholders. It was pay committee chair Ronald Sargent, and a lack of female board power.
Who do you blame? Charlie Scharf getting rich at $31 million.
Man, I am going to go with, well, I know Charlie Scharf has 19% influence on the board. I know Ronald Sargent has 18% influence on the board,
Wow.
which means they're basically exactly the same person on this board. But my favorite thing to do is blame shareholders for everything.
Okay.
So I'm going to blame, even though it's an advisory
You might be
vote,
right.
it doesn't really matter. If you keep supporting it, is it really Ronald Sargent who's supposed to be like, well, the shareholders keep saying, yes, we should change it, right? Like, is he going to do that? There's no incentive there. So I think it's shareholders. That's who I think.
This is why I'm advocating for different ways of looking at all the data. That we've kind of been in a rut for the last 20 years in corporate governance. And instead of falling for all these policy tweaks and like saying, oh, you got rid of that 3-year performance period. Now you have a 4-year performance. Instead of falling for all that, why don't we look at other things? Like I suggested that we look at the CEO pay ratio. That's just a simple way to say yes or no. You pick a number. I picked 100 to 1 for me, for my portfolio. I also suggested if that's too much, pick 365 to 1 or lower. If the CEO is making the pay of the average median worker in the first day, vote against the pay.
Yeah, that seems reasonable. One day you surpass all your average employees. That seems reasonable.
Yeah, because otherwise the policy tweaks are doing nothing because the pay just keeps going up every year.
I do have a sort of soft spot in my heart for the sneakiness of like you go from like a 3-year to a 4-year, thing. But you half the time my favorite little tiny tweaks that like no one pays attention to 1 year, but they're doing them like every single year is when if you fall in the bottom quartile of TSR, for instance, if you're like the worst quarter of your peers on performance, you only get 75% of your bonus.
You still get a big chunk.
That is really fabulous. I would love to be at the bottom of something and still get 75% of whatever. Like I was in the bottom quartile in track and field at the Olympics, but I still come in the top 25% when it comes to the rewards. I love that.
Well, that's why I thought you might have voted for Pay Committee Chair Ronald Sargent, but your choice is good, shareholders. Let's move on. This next story is, I'm calling it a positive story. I guess it depends on your perspective.
Yeah.
The headline is
Citigroup.
Citi bucks back to office trend and embraces hybrid working. Okay? So who do we blame for this? Really, or, that's the negative way of saying it, but who do we thank for this? So do we thank the board? Because 8 of 14 directors are women. I mean, are women more tied into the needs of hybrid working, maybe?
Yes. I mean,
okay.
The evidence suggests that they are, mostly because they end up by default being the people who have to stay home when their kids are sick, right? So
do you blame the board for this positive decision? How about the next choice? How about the CEO? In 2021, Jane Fraser became Citi's CEO and the first woman to lead a major U.S. bank. So do you blame her for this worker-friendly initiative? The word blame is kind of troubling me when I say that, isn't it? Because that's like a positive thing, but I'm saying blame. But
I got you. I'm with you.
How about shareholders? Matt, just last year, 26% of shareholders supported a shareholder proposal requesting a report on the effectiveness of Citi's policies and practices in respecting indigenous people's rights. I mean, how is that? 26%. That's a massive number. So maybe shareholders are kind of progressive, kind of cutting edge here at Citi. So maybe you blame them.
Yeah, maybe.
And finally, do you blame Chief Human Resources Officer Sarah Wechter? So Sarah serves on the board of Onyx Corporation. This is really rare to see a Chief Human Resources Officer on the board of another major company. And in her bio, Matt, she has the courage to admit that she has championed diversity, equity, and inclusion efforts across Citi, leading the firm and exceeding its original 3-year aspirational representation goal set in 2018 for women globally and black talent in the U.S. So she also could be a candidate to blame for this worker-friendly initiative at Citi.
So just based on By the way, you're like when I answer this, whatever I answer is correct,
yes.
I win every time.
Or if you're a logical, rational, intellectual type, you might just think all the answers could be correct. But.
I am going to go with, if we're going to have headline after headline after headline that says CEO mandates return to office, right? Like
big in the Trump-Musk administration. They're big on that.
They're all about like everyone's got to be in the office and you got to work 120 hours a week, because it's not okay for you to have any downtime. No. Everybody should be in founder mode, despite the fact that you get none of the upside of founder mode.
No, you still get your normal paycheck.
Like you're telling federal employees right now, Musk is telling federal employees effectively, like you should act like you're in founder mode at a startup working, except that those people get equity. And in the federal government, you get health care. That's all. That's basically all you can ask for. All right.
Look,
so
I like the city's approach. I don't know that staying at home all the time is a great thing. Hybrid. I love hybrid.
So if you're going to, say big shot, big swinging dick CEO is bringing everyone back to the office, then I think we got to say Jane Fraser.
All right.
Is the one who's saying, you know what? You're doing great. Just keep up the good work.
Well,
you're adults.
It's her
you can
culture.
Work from wherever you want.
It's her culture. Yeah.
I mean, we are adults, right? Like,
sort of.
I mean, the people who would go into the office and play Minesweeper all day are the same people who would do it at home. It's not exactly like just being at home, makes the dynamic that much worse. So
no, at home you just play Minesweeper. You just play in your pajamas at home.
Yeah, it's more comfortable. Yeah.
The third headline for the Who Do You Blame game, February 4th, 2025. McDonald's Shamrock Shake returns.
I hate this. Wow.
Who do you blame? The CEO, Chris Kempczinski? Matt, he has a CEO pay ratio of 1,212 to 1, which proves that he doesn't care about anything, really. Anything but himself, really, right? I mean, what does he care?
Doesn't that prove that he's the only one that matters? So
could be.
I'm not
could
sure.
be. Oh,
yeah.
Okay. Do you blame the chair?
Whoa.
Wait. That's also Chris Kempczinski, the CEO.
Oh, you walked me right into that one.
Yeah, so I don't. I just like pointing out the absurdity of the CEO is also the chair. It's the stupidest thing I've ever heard of.
He's his own boss. That's
the stupidest thing I've ever heard of. The third choice here is the lead independent director, a man that you know and love, Matt, Miles White, who is clearly not independent, having served on the board since 2009. How is he independent?
That's only 15 years. So it's that's not that long.
16 now, yeah. And finally, do you blame the Sustainability and Corporate Responsibility Committee chair? This is the committee that monitors such strategies covering food, sourcing, the environment, human rights, DEI, etc. His name is Paul Walsh. This is the guy that used to sell alcohol. He was the former CEO at Diageo and is currently the executive chair at a company that sells expensive racing cars, McLaren Group. Can you imagine? That's your chair of the Sustainability and Corporate Responsibility Committee. The guy who sold booze and expensive racing cars. I so McDonald's.
Yeah. Wow. There's so many good options. It's either Chris Kempczinski or the guy who Chris Kempczinski picked to do one thing or the guy that he picked to do another thing.
His other friend.
He's really hard. It's got to be Chris himself, right?
Okay.
I mean, there's no doubt.
Let's move on.
How dare you?
The next headline, OpenAI files a trademark application for humanoid robots and VR headsets as Sam Altman teases big hardware ambitions. I don't like this one at all, Matt.
No, nobody does.
So who do you blame for this one? Do you blame the CEO, Sam Altman, the guy who refused to be fired by his board while subverting the company's mandate and mission? Do you blame him? How about the chair? Do you blame the OpenAI chair, Brett Taylor, the guy who comes from Twitter, Facebook, Google, and is clearly disinterested in what humanity actually needs? How about the board? The board for allowing a CEO who was previously fired, partly for lying to the board, to sit on the board as a director. Do you blame the board? And finally, How about the two women who nearly fired Sam Altman, former OpenAI directors Helen Toner and Tasha McCauley? Do you blame them for not getting the job done?
Oh, wow. That one seems like a low blow. That one seems like...
I didn't think you'd choose that one.
I'm going to go with, in this case...
Yes.
I think everything has to be Brett Taylor's fault, right?
Okay,
like
why?
everything, like
Twitter,
look,
Facebook, Google, that's quite a resume.
they brought in Brett Taylor after the two women were axed, and Brett Taylor is ostensibly supposed to be the one overseeing Sam Altman, right?
Yeah.
And everyone knew that he was not going to do that. If Brett Taylor had a spine, he wouldn't have been at Twitter, at Facebook, at Google, at companies that basically just enriched college dropouts.
Right.
He would spend his time overseeing what he's supposed to oversee.
Well,
so,
Matt, if he truly had a spine, why would he invite Sam Altman to sit on the board in the first place?
Exactly.
What's he doing there?
Yeah, basically, you did the classic thing, which is I get to be chair with no real responsibility because that guy does everything. We just do what he says.
Yeah, I'm reminding some listeners who have no idea what we're talking about. The board is there partly to provide oversight for management. So why? Why is Sam Altman sitting around? Why is he there? Why is he hanging around?
I'm going to go with Brett Taylor.
All right. Target in the news a lot recently. We've been talking a lot about Target. Target hit with national boycott call over decision to drop DEI initiatives. So Matt, here's your chance to weigh in. Who do you blame for dropping DEI initiatives at Target? Is it the CEO, Brian Cornell? Again, a guy with an extremely absurd and obscene pay ratio of 719 to 1. 719 to 1.
That means
do you blame him?
The first working day of the year, he gets
in the morning
the median the median salary.
It happens right in the morning. He's made as much as the average worker. How about
he's having his 11 a.m. tea, and yeah, it's over.
How about the double DEI hating director? His name is Dimitri Stockton, and he also serves on the board of Deere that also got rid of its DEI. And he's a person of color too, Dimitri Stockton. He's not right. Am I right about that?
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, that's correct.
Yes. So he's a double DEI hating director, Dimitri Stockton.
Double hater.
Yeah. How about do you blame the lead independent director? She's a woman of color, Monica Lozano. She was the former CEO of the College Futures Foundation, whose commitment to diversity, equity, and inclusion is paramount to its vision for advancing a racially, socially, and economically just California. Do you blame her, or do you blame the chair of the committee responsible for human capital management, specifically that looks over DE&I in support of its business? That's again Monica Lozano.
Wow.
She is the chair of that committee. So, yeah, who do you blame here? This is a challenging one for you, Matt.
This is challenging. Monica Lozano also on the board of Apple and Bank of America.
Right. Well, Apple is it's keeping its DEI programs, right?
But you gotta wonder now, right? Like, there's like the number of board members who are just totally cool with flipping on DEI because they're worried. They're worried, like in some dystopian universe, that there is a real lawsuit that says because we add black people to our talent pool, like that we can be sued in perpetuity. Like, it doesn't make any sense to me. But that's, I guess, the world we live in now.
Mm-hmm.
I know Monica Lozano falls on here twice.
Yeah. Well, that was not by plan. I mean, I was just, it was logical to look at the lead independent director, and it's also logical to look at the committee that oversees DE&I.
Yeah, do you think Brian Cornell, though, was sitting in there being like, I really think we should fight this, and Monica Lozano was like, no, cave now.
Well, look, there's one thing I want to be fair to Dimitri Stockton. I don't know how he voted for these at both Deere and Target. It might be unfortunate that he had to be sitting on both boards, but he might have supported it too. But I will agree with you, Matt. Brian Cornell was not trying to save DE&I. There's no chance he was trying, because I think he would have had, his pay ratio alone would suggest that he had the power to shut everyone up if they were trying to get rid of DE&I.
You know, Brian Cornell is in an interesting position. It's one of like almost no times that I see this happen. He has the most influence at Target, obviously, because he's the CEO. He's 24% of the board influence, but he also is on the Yum Brands board, where he also has the most influence on the board, according to Free Float
Yum
data.
Brands.
At Yum Brands. So,
Wow.
I'm gonna go with Brian Cornell.
That
I
seems
think that's probably
good answer. Seems like a
the
good answer.
correct answer. Yeah.
As much as you wanted to say Dimitri Stockton.
I really
Double
did want to
hater.
say either of the other
Yeah.
options, but yeah, I'm not going to.
And finally, let's end again on a positive note. You don't expect to see headlines like this anymore, but here you go. Coca-Cola and Novartis' CEOs don't care if ESG has become a toxic phrase among some. So who do you blame for them not caring that ESG has become a toxic phrase? Let me start with do you blame Coca-Cola CEO James Quincy? Because I want to tell you what he actually had the strength to say out loud, which is in 2025 seems like a lot of strength. But here we go. Here's the quote. If ESG becomes toxic as a phrase, which it basically has in the US, it doesn't matter to me. I'm just going to stop saying ESG, but the idea that for my basic product, I want to be water positive, I want to have a circular economy in my packaging, and I want to grow our business with less sugar, you can call it anything you like, but no one with common sense says those are bad ideas. He then goes on to he then goes on basically to make a case for stakeholder capitalism, where he believes that some of the things that consumers care about, that shareholders care about, that society cares about, that we should be addressing all of these things. I
like that.
It is kind of shocking, right, that in 2025 that a large cap CEO like that is even saying that. So do you blame him for this positive headline, or what about, do you blame Novartis CEO Vasant Narasimhan, Matt, whose ego is so strong and secure that he doesn't even need to serve on the board that is responsible for his oversight? He doesn't even serve on the Novartis board. How about that?
Well, let's be clear.
Okay.
Novartis,
I knew you were going to throw this in.
Is in Switzerland.
Okay.
Right? Like,
yeah.
Where
still
you don't, that by
still,
like, it's,
we can learn from the Swiss sometimes. Yeah.
Okay. Sometimes.
Look, I'm just playing a game here, Matt. Okay.
I'm playing along. I'm with you.
All right. So maybe you blame this person for this very positive headline about supporting ESG and stakeholder capitalism. Do you blame Coca-Cola's lead independent director and corporate governance and sustainability committee chair, Maria Elena Lagomasino? Matt, maybe some of all that woke messaging at Disney, all the movies, maybe it rubbed off on her. Maybe she's right?
It's possible. Yeah, the audience doesn't think that's possible.
Okay, and finally, do you blame the female board power at Coca-Cola, Matt? A full 49% of influence on the board of Coca-Cola is held by women, which is a victory these days. 49% is a victory.
This one's hard for me.
Ooh, I like it.
Because, first of all, like, credit where credit's due. Saying you can call it anything you want, but no one with common sense says those are bad ideas. That's the point, right?
Yes,
like,
absolutely.
It's data. We're just like, these are not like things, ideological things. These are just like, this is what innovation looks like. Like, it doesn't look like a white guy in a room building AI to make you suicidal. It looks like a guy who says, oh, I am using a tremendous amount of waste to make this product. How do I not and make the product better?
Here's
How do
what
I
else
make
he said.
this better?
How about this quote he also said? James Quincy, CEO of Coca-Cola. My business strategy is constant and clear and centered around the business and the things that consumers care about and that fix societal problems. If people want to attach labels to it, that's their issue. I'm saying this business will be great if I fix these problems, and it will be good for shareholders and be good for society. So he's basically a communist. I mean, he's basically
he is entirely. Yeah. But credit where credit is due for just saying that. I can't give credit here for Novartis' CEO. You're in Switzerland. Come on, you're talking to the wrong audience. But I'm going to say female board power at Coke is it. That's what I'm going to say.
I will say you're right in two ways, because A, I think you're just right overall, but B, you're right because this is data that you can only get here. If you want to know the female power, or the male power, whatever power you want, the power from people who've graduated from Harvard, that data is only here, free flow analytics.
Well, I like the fact that this actually gels with Costco is a big company who's standing up against the anti-DEI movement, and they've said, no, you're all idiots. Yeah. And on their board they have one of the highest female power by influence of the board in our database in the U.S.
Several powerful women on that board. Yeah,
I think it's not a coincidence that when you have a diverse cohort that has power, they look at this and say, what are you talking about? Like, we are not only qualified, we're kicking ass. And how dare you even say it has anything to do with DEI? DEI is a negative or discriminatory. Like, this is about shareholder value, baby. So I'm for that. 49% female power.
Do you have some?
I have three for you.
Let's go. Let's
are
keep
you
the
ready?
game going.
All right,
let's keep the game going.
Here's the headline. Ryder's $2.5 million settlement brings 4-year governance overhaul.
Ooh.
What's changing for shareholders? So
like
Ryder,
this.
I got to give a little bit of background. Mm-hmm. There's a lawsuit that alleged Ryder's management team and its board artificially inflated the value of Ryder's assets, and it was materially misleading. And that they disclosed all this. There's a class action suit. It was several class action suits. They settled. Now the board has to create a corporate risk steering committee on the board level. They have to hire a chief compliance officer at the management level. Management level has to have a disclosure committee where they actually talk about they made a rule that at least 2 of the audit committee members must be financial experts.
Okay, shouldn't be hard for them. Yeah,
that shouldn't be that hard. They have to hire a third party to do their market research for them. They can't just do market research and say it's true.
Okay.
They have to have a pricing team examine the market prices, and they have clawback, and now they have a non-retaliation policy. So
non-retaliation policy.
Yeah, because they can't retaliate against anybody who whistle blows, basically.
Yeah, sure. Wow.
So they had to do a lot of things as a result of the settlement. So here are your options. Who to blame for the fact that it all went wrong in the first place? Like, who do we blame?
So who were you? Yeah, okay. Who were blaming for the original sin? Okay, I got it.
Yeah, the original sin here. Like, you got sued. It took years, and now you got to change your whole governance structure. Like, do you blame CEO Robert Sanchez? He's been the CEO since 2013. He's the man in the chair, right? Like,
he's also the chair. He's also the chair.
He's the top dog. He's it. Right?
Okay.
You got to blame the top dog. Right?
Do we know his influence? What's his influence on the board?
His influence on the board now is let's find out. Because this is free flow analytics data, 26%. So he's
someone who very well could blame him. Okay, got it.
Easy to blame him. That's him today. He's been CEO since 2013. So he's had lots of time to screw this up.
Who else?
Do you blame the audit committee?
Oh.
The audit committee is a 5-person audit committee.
It's already
you don't see a lot of 5-person audit committees.
No.
All of whom in 2020, when this lawsuit was brought, were disclosed as financial experts.
Okay.
But only one of whom was an actual financial expert. She was an accounting professor. The other 4 were just CEOs at other companies.
Okay. Yeah.
They said they consider them financial experts because they were CEOs.
The company considered them financial experts. Okay, got
correct.
it. The company. Okay.
So do you blame the audit committee for this? Like they're the ones who are supposed to.
I might.
Do you blame Dimitri Stockton, who happens to be not only on the board of Target, where they flip DEI, and on
Dimitri
the board
Stockton,
of Deere,
the guy we just talked about?
The same is on the Ryder board. He is on the Target board. He's on the Deere board. And he's on, at the time, he was on the Stanley Black & Decker board, who was sued for not disclosing executive perks. And this board, who's been sued for basically materially misleading disclosure.
Unbelievable. Do you know that off the top of your head?
Dimitri Stockton in a lot of places.
Do you know off the top of your head if he was on the audit committee?
He was not on the audit committee. So
Got it.
It can't be because he was on the audit committee.
Okay.
Or do you blame, obviously, DEI? Dimitri Stockton is black, and Robert Sanchez sounds like he could be Mexican.
Okay,
I don't actually know,
Okay.
but it sounds like it. So I'm just giving you the option. It's 2025. Everything's DEI's fault.
These are good options. I'm going to tell you my thinking here. I was going to say CEO Robert Sanchez. I mean, of course. I mean, I'm assuming he's also board chair. He's been there for over a decade.
He is board chair, yep.
He's the guy in charge. He has the most influence. But when you got to Dimitri Stockton, I figured, are we ever going to have a chance again, Matt, to publicly blame Dimitri Stockton for something? This is our moment. This is our time.
This is basically it.
I'm finally going to blame him. I'm a little bit more angry at him for Target and Deere, but I'm going to blame him for this too. I mean, he's just everywhere where it stinks.
Yeah, it hasn't gone well.
No.
He's actually ex-GE Aerospace too, which I believe
God.
So he's at GE.
So he stranded some astronauts
declared
too.
bankruptcy. So not great.
What else?
All right, are you ready for the next one?
I'm ready.
Your next headline: U.S. Steel flags Trump DEI order as risk factor for investors.
I saw this right in their 10K. They did that. Yeah.
In the 10K as one of the risk factors, they list Trump's DEI order. So who are we blaming? It could be a good thing, right? Like listing this as a risk.
Yeah. I mean, do we know the language behind how what exactly are they saying?
We do. They basically said pretty much straight up that it's, quote, in recent years, anti-ESG sentiment has gained momentum across the U.S. with several states enacting anti-ESG policies, legislation, yada, yada, yada. And then the filing said it could result in U.S. Steel facing additional compliance obligations, becoming the subject of investigations and enforcement actions, or sustaining reputational harm because of policies opposing DEI and ESG.
But they're maintaining their DEI policies. Is that what you're saying?
They don't say anything about maintaining. They just say because they've had them, and they have, everybody has them, right? Because they had them, they could now be the focus of an investigation.
You know what? I'm going to take the very positive look at this story and say that what we have here is a corporation basically saying that the president is a risk to all corporations because he's a racist, sexist a-hole.
Well, so your first option of who to blame is racist old white guys and tech bros. That's your first option.
That's King Trump and King Musk. Yeah.
The order was written ostensibly, like the actual DEI order of the White House was written by Stephen Miller, Trump, and Musk, right?
So Trump, Musk, and his hench guy, Stephen
which
Miller,
I think they should be called the three horsemen of the brown apocalypse. They're basically, that's what it is, right?
You're disturbing me. Okay.
But if they're including Trump's DEI order as a material risk to the company, then it should be the people who wrote it, right?
Yeah.
All right. Your second option, the lawyers at U.S. Steel.
The lawyers who wrote the annual report.
Because you know that the CEO is not sitting down and reading the annual report top to bottom, right?
Sure.
Like it's only lawyers and it's mostly boilerplate.
Yep.
But the company said in its annual report last year that it aims to, quote, have an engaged and diverse workforce to promote new ideas and innovation, reflect the communities where we operate, and deliver exceptional customer service. But this year, that same sentence omitted reference to having a diverse workforce. They removed diverse workforce,
That's
right?
so petty, yeah.
Doesn't that sound like lawyer Dwayne D. Holloway, who's the chief ethics and compliance officer and general counsel of U.S. Steel, right?
Yeah.
Well, could be that guy.
He is warning against a lawsuit for us. We took out the word.
And speaking of Dwayne Holloway, we could blame as a third option DEI. Dwayne Holloway is black.
Oh, no.
I'm not kidding. Mr. Holloway serves on this is from his bio, serves on the board of directors of the Minority Corporate Counsel Association.
Oh, no.
The Carnegie Hero Fund Commission.
Yeah.
The Gilman School Allegheny County Parks Foundation. He also serves as an executive sponsor of U.S. Steel's Steel Parents Employee Resource Group. It's all very woke and DEI-ish.
Yeah, it all sounds a little too Christian, a little too helpful.
So you could blame DEI itself for listing DEI orders against DEI.
You could. Yeah.
So,
I probably won't. You
and then finally, could you blame the board of U.S. Steel?
Ooh.
Because U.S. Steel managed to find, and it's hard these days, they have a 12-person board. They found 8 white males for their 12-person board, 3 white women, and 1 black woman. There's only one person of color on this board.
They're headquartered
6% influence.
They're headquartered in Pittsburgh?
Yeah, Pennsylvania somewhere, yeah.
Okay. Where there are black people that do exist.
The last time I was in Pennsylvania, there were some black people. So,
pretty sure.
But it now does feel, if you are one of the 8 old white males, doesn't it feel risky to talk about?
This is tough. I like
the
this.
DEI? So there's your options. Racist old white guys, the tech bros, the brown apocalypse, the horsemen of the brown apocalypse, the lawyers at U.S. Steel, DEI itself, or the board of U.S. Steel.
This is tough. I'm going to throw out the lawyers because they're just constantly watching their backs. They don't really have I don't think they have a soul. They're just kind of, they're just protecting things, right? They're I understand. I get it. I get what they're doing. DEI, I know you're joking around. I'm not going to pick DEI for this one, but others would, so I'll let them pick DEI. I was inclined to pick racist old white guys because where else is this problem coming from? I mean, right? I mean, the whole anti-DEI is coming squarely from racist old white guys and now perpetuated by tech bros. So you're right to point that out, but we're a company that talks about the people at these companies, and why not blame the board, really?
There it is.
Right? And why not? I mean, yeah. So I'm just going to do it. I'm going to blame the board.
Yeah, I like it. 6%. You couldn't find. They only found a twofer, a woman of color. Right? They wanted to get their double diversity in one person. And they managed to give her 6% influence on the board? Like, come on. You couldn't find anyone else?
And before you get all crazy, if you're actually a listener to the show and you're actually an anti-DEI person, before you get all nuts, let me just put it to you this way. Wouldn't you just want a diversity of perspective when providing oversight?
Relax, you socialist.
But I'm just saying, do you need all the same kind of groupthink? I mean, don't you just want some different thoughts? I mean, isn't that... Anyway, okay. What else?
One more. Here we go. Last one. Walgreens stock plunges.
I already have an answer for Walgreens, but go ahead.
Its dividend payout changes are to blame. The headline says who's to blame.
Yeah.
The headline says its dividend payout changes are to blame.
Yeah.
Okay? Mm-hmm. Here are your options. Can we blame Roz Brewer for this?
Well, she was black, right?
She was a DEI hire, obviously, right? We can still pin it on her somehow.
She's not there, but I see what you're saying. She created the mess.
I'm just saying, somehow can we blame her?
Yes. Well, everybody will, but I'm not going to. What else you got?
Can we blame DEI? Because there was
Sure.
So let me tell you, there's this line in the announcement about the dividend cessation. Like the Walgreens puts out a press release that says, or files a SEC filing that says they're stopping paying out the dividend payout. Quote, in fiscal 2024, Walgreens Boots Alliance, WBA, scored 100% on the Disability Equality Index for disability inclusion.
Why was that in the same announcement?
That's at the bottom. It's like in their footnote when everything has the about Walgreens, the about the company little statement.
Is that greenwashing? What is that? Is that woke
in
washing?
In the about statement, no longer do they say anything about the Human Rights Campaign or LGBTQ plus or
so it's okay
of color.
It's okay to support disabled people, but none of the other things. Is that what we're doing?
They picked the least woke thing, I guess. How would you describe that?
When are we going to cancel giving support to the disabled? When do we cancel that?
Well, didn't. They clearly, the lawyers at Walgreens clearly didn't hear Trump blame the crash in the Potomac on disabled people. Right. That's what he blamed it on. He read it from the FAA guidelines about hiring. So, so can we blame DEI or?
If I was a neo-Nazi, I would. But what else you got?
Can we blame Stefano Pacino?
Oh,
the man was
that's the guy.
61% of
that's the
board
answer.
influence.
Yeah.
The man who fired Ross Brewer.
Yeah.
And the man, in fact, I've been hitting refresh. This is what I actually do. I've been hitting refresh all morning on the Walgreens SEC filings.
What are you waiting for?
Because they had their annual meeting. We covered it in the proxy countdown. They had their annual meeting on January 30th. And we're on February 4th recording this, and they have not put out the 8K with the results of the meeting.
That's actually quite strange. I actually think they're supposed to file it within a couple of days, aren't they?
I mean, we're now. I mean, I know that today is a Tuesday, right? And the 30th was a Thursday. So they've had 2 business days. How long does it take to fucking count? You guys can count, right?
When's the last time you were in line at the pharmacy at Walgreens? It takes a bit of time.
That's true. It is because you're busy looking at the advertisements on the windows that you can't see the products through. But they have not disclosed the results of the meeting yet, and I'm sure that Stefano Pacino will get reelected. I'm
the guy who controls the company, the guy who controls the board, the guy whose wife is the COO.
He doesn't have control of the company. He has control. He has the power at the company. He only has like 16% of the shares. He does not have voting power.
Yeah, I mean 16%. I mean that's
vote him out.
That's the loudest
people.
Voice in the group. Yeah. Okay.
So you're gonna go
that's
with
my yes, absolutely.
That's your
yes. Come on, what are we talking about here? You know
that's
this.
True. What are we talking about? That's the blame game.
I like the blame
really
game
good.
actually. I like the blame game.
It's a little sad, but it's really good.
No, come on. Some of these stories were positive.
That's Hazelnut Rollins. I'm your Analyst-Hole Matt Moscardi. We are Free Float. We will be back. This week, we've got a Thursday where we're going to do a proxy countdown.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll cover Walgreens. We'll cover the Walgreens about there, hopefully.
Proxy countdown's a big deal. Look, if you're like a regular person, you have no idea how any votes happen at these companies, and we're covering it like it's a sporting event. You got to be listening to Proxy Countdown. And on Friday, we'll wrap up the week. Until then, goodbye.